Today I'm sharing about the folded fours by Rabbi Chaim Vital as shared by Asher Crisp. So there's the emanation world, which is the Yud, the creation world, which is the He, the formation world, which is the Vav, and the action world, which is the He again. It's two He's. Now, what am I saying? Yud He, Vav He, obviously God's tetragrammaton name. We don't say the actual pronunciation. I'm just pronouncing the letters, numerically equivalent to 26. So what is folded fours? The source of emanation relates to fire. This is the world where there's active combustion. Then there's the world of air, which is creation, the world of water, which is formation, and the world of action, which is solids. Wisdom, understanding, emotion, and kingdom or self-expression. And then there's the idea of the letters themselves. There's cantillation marks, vowels, decorative crowns, and the letter itself. So we're seeing it go deeper and deeper into each. Then we have the inner person, which is complete with all four soul levels, called Chaya, Neshama, Ruach, and Nefesh. The body, 2. 3, the clothing worn on the body, and 4, the house where a person dwells. So going now a little deeper into 1, the transcendent oversoul, the Neshama of the Neshama, is the Chaya. Then we have the seed of the intellect, the Neshama, seed of emotion, Ruach, and the vital soul, which is the Nefesh, vitalizing, animating soul. 2, the body. We have the bones with their bone marrow, 1, connecting tissue with tendons and sinews, 2, flesh and muscles, 3, and skin as 4. We can see there's always 4 layers folded in. 3, we have represented by the clothing of the priest. So this is the clothing worn on the body. They had an undershirt. They're like the regular Kohanim. They had pants, they had a sash belt, and a turban. Then we have the house where a person dwells. We have courtyard, or the dwelling. We have house, courtyard, field, and wilderness or desert. Then we have all knowledge. We have divinity. We have soul psychology. And we have, actually, soul and psyche used to be the same word. Then we have worlds, cosmology. I want to share now from fractals. So this is also by Asher Crisp. And because we're talking about folds here, like things going in, so on Wikipedia it says fractal is a shape that is recursively constructed or self-similar. That is a shape that appears similar at all scales of magnification. It's therefore often referred to as infinitely complex, on and on, inclusion extended indefinitely, if not infinitely, displaying the magic of the infinitely complex fractal. Fractalas, as a source, says it's a shape. When you look at a small part of it, has a similar but not necessarily identical appearance to the full shape, teasing with a bit of familiarity and tantalizingly new and unexpected twist. With just a single fractal shape, you can explore forever and never see anything it has to offer. The further you zoom, the more likely you're seeing something no one has seen before. Sorry that my shirt was low. Chabad.org, we have lechem. The word lechem means bread. This is written by Mendel Kalmanson and Zalman Abraham. Lechem usually means bread. And here I'm going to show you lechem as a fractal, kind of. The idea that the more you go into it, the words, the letters, just as an example. So the Zohar says the time of eating is the time for battle, and that one who desires bread should eat it at the point of a sword. Lochem actually means warrior. Lechem is bread, lochem. There's a spiritual battlefield where we suffuse physicality with light energy. Bread in scripture and rabbinic writings refers to a few things. Torah is your bread, marital relations is your bread, various other forms of physical engagement, worldly pleasures is bread. And it's our holy work to acknowledge and amplify the sacred presence within all aspects of existence. Talmud teaches that a person's true character is ascertained by 3 things. 1, cup, how he drinks and eats. Or by drinking, we say alcohol also. 2, his pocket, which is financial dealings. And 3, and I forget how to say pocket, but there's like cup is kos, anger is kas, and pocket or wallet is something similar, like keys or something like that. His bag, his purse. Anyway, anger, how he treats others. So the first question we ask when the first question that is asked to us when we arrive in the world to come, if you believe in the afterlife or heaven or death, did you engage in business with honesty? Or you could say your oversoul will ask your lower personal soul, your small soul. So the Rambam says, just as a wise man is distinct in his wisdom and in his character traits, he stands apart from others regarding them, so too he must be distinct in his deeds, be eating, drinking, marital relations, bathroom usage, speech, walking, clothing, his clothes. As an aside, Rabbi Nachman says you shouldn't even throw your clothes on the floor. How you treat your clothes is also, the clothes are also judging you. Satisfying his needs, business dealings, all such deeds of his should be especially present and proper. The Talmud compares one's dining table to an altar. In the Holy Temple, that altar effected atonement for a person in time of the temple, when it stood. However, now that the temple is no longer standing, a person's dining table affects atonement for him. Eating as holiness or eating as hedonism, how we eat, what we eat. The Torah says, for not on bread alone will man live, but upon that which issues forth from God's mouth. So food has divine origin, and in the food is divine energy. That we learn from Isaac Luria, the Arizal, a major Kabbalist, major. As major as he is as spacious he became for receiving, because we learn with Kabbalah, the more open you are, the more you can channel, as a channel. Okay, so we have to use the divine energy to grow from the food, from the consumption, morally, spiritually, in study, in prayer, in good deeds. Prayer, worship, right? Service. Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi, or Judah the Prince, not one of Yaakov's 12 sons, but a leader, a beloved teacher, says it's prohibited for an ignoramus to eat meat, and anyone who engages in Torah study is permitted to eat meat, and anyone who does not engage in Torah study is prohibited from eating the meat of animals or fowl. Fowl meaning birds. A couple in engagement of love, intimacy acts, isn't shameful. This is why we say that bread is also like, in the Torah it's referred to as a couple's union. So we say it is not shameful, and this is the Jewish perspective, but acts of holiness, when done in the right context with the right intention, it's sacred. It's a becoming of one flesh, experiencing unity with another, and it mirrors God's oneness on high. The closest to the act of creation itself, as it brings new life into this world, is sanctified and celebrated. It's like the high priest, and the proof we have is the high priest, the Kohen Gadol, on Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the year, for us, Jewish people, could not perform the service if he wasn't married, where he goes into the Kodesh Kodashim, the holiest place, with the Ketores, the holiest substance, or the incense, really, right? It could bring holiness. And if he wasn't married, he couldn't do it. And they even, in case his wife would die during Yom Kippur suddenly, had a wife in waiting, as if, in case something happened to her, he would be married by automation to this second woman. And finally, I'll share now on Chachma and Bina, which is similar to the idea of a couple, husband and wife. So when we ground, and this is the left and right brain also, and we could say it's Abel and Cain, the softer, more passive, or the active, more ambitious. Esav and Yaakov, the one that was already ready, and the one that was like learning, always wanting to learn, versus the one that was decided he was ready. So we ground into pleasure or associating food with invasion and violation. So in other words, our consumption, what we take in, could be like violating and invading, like it's foreign, or it could be something we merge, we become one. This is just taking the ideas a little further. The patriarchy versus whatever you would call it when you wanting men to be women, and not really woman, but women. Wanting men to have their be the version of the man that's also in the woman, and produce oxytocin, which means love us. Don't just touch us for your pleasure, but love us as women, and be a primary caretaker replacement or a womb space. This is like, I don't think there's a word for it yet. When we say that a man could practice being like the space, the caretaker, loving, like so cute, like holding it tight, like precious, like that caregiver really. what are other elements here? Codependency versus self-sufficiency or safety, physical, emotional needs, the constant renewal, constantly, right? Sleep, cleaning, eating, preparing, making the bed, brushing the teeth, just freshness, and also lowering individuated stress levels. Being fed food made with love versus being restricted with food and learning, delaying gratification, being controlled, being restrained, being deprived, being belittled, being shamed, etc. with food. So taking this even further. Devotion, platonically, to like this guru, teacher, rabbi, somebody, versus being like the Jesus complex, we call it, like anxiety, turning back in the being a punching bag or a scapegoat voluntarily, like thinking one is like just the idea of serving this being, you decide that this being is worth serving, versus like you have to be, someone has to be in charge of you, like, and you have to be taking all the bad, it's all your fault. Really, you're saying I'm in charge. Anyway, versus the atonement and turning back into the self, not blaming anyone or being blamed. Providing and receiving, stimulated and enjoyable, protecting and soothing, boundaries and dissolving, warmer and comforter and glory and beauty, which is testosterone aggression, which is not bad. We could even call it like motivation. And estrogen, which is caregiver, or we could say nurture. And progesterone, which is life giver, like sustainer. And testosterone being destructive, not in a bad way, but like in the way that you take the tree and turn it into a house, or take the cloth and turn it into a tent, even in a primal, primitive way. Anyway, so destruction, creation, preservation, this is all one God we have in Judaism for everything. But in the way that it manifests through us, there's origin, space, and product. The energy is expanding, so generating, cultivating, and then supporting or germinating. This is a baby. Penetration, activation, sustaining. So I'll stop here. It's getting very abstract, and I'll continue even further with the idea of God's mind by Rabbi David Ingber tomorrow, God willing. Thank you for listening. Bye.